Emergency! Police!
We recently watched Blue Hawaii for the very first time. We can all just kind of talk about it. I'd love to hear what you guys think, where you guys rate this movie. This, to me, Blue Hawaii, to me, I thought of as one of the pinnacles, if not the pinnacle, like the most famous one, not necessarily the best one, but I thought of it or think of it as his most well-known movie. And for the life of me, I don't know why. It is definitely like big and bright and fun and appealing in that way, you know? And I had this 4K here, which just got put out by Paramount like 2 or 3 years ago, and it is an amazing, amazing 4K transfer. The colors pop off the screen. You've got all these tan bodies, and then Elvis in his little slutty white Speedo. That's just like it pops. And then the reds and the yellows, the blue skies, the green grass on these hilltops and mountaintops. Like, it's a really good looking movie. This is what, his eighth movie, ninth movie? The most important thing is that this is the second movie directed by Norman Taurog that Elvis has done. The first one was GI Blues, which for me represented a major turning point in the tone and the trajectory of his filmography. That movie did well at the box office, and then they followed it up with two more movies that didn't have soundtracks, those being Flaming Star and then Wild in the Country, which both, one a little more than the other, but both flopped at the box office. And so it seems like the logical conclusion, even as the producers who are trying to further Elvis's career, is to say, okay, panic mode, let's go back to the drawing board. What made GI Blues work so well? Let's bring back Norman Taurog. They tried to bring back Juliette Prowse, but she wanted a little bit more money than they were willing to offer her. So they had to hire whoever they hired. They crammed more songs into this one than into any of the other ones, and they advertised it. I mean, right on the cover, you got him with the guitar. So they did that, right? And then the movie made its money back. It made just as much money on just the same budget as GI Blues did. So if GI Blues represented a turning point, you know, there was still room to pull back from it, but then the relative failures of Wild in the Country and Flaming Star, and then the success of Blue Hawaii just solidified it. Set the course from which there was no going back. That Elvis was going to be doing these big, bright, Technicolor, feel-good spectacles, Panavision, for better or worse. But some of the critic reviews say that it's like terrible and it's a waste of time. Some of the more favorable ones at least can appreciate it for what it is, and they just say, it's pleasant, it looks nice, the songs are okay, it's harmless fun, you know, what's the problem? And then I think the critics who can kind of look at it a little more fairly but still had something negative to say, were just of the mind like, it's getting a little bit stale at this point, you know, he's maybe capable of more, this is his eighth or ninth movie, and at this point he's still delivering this level when he's probably capable of more. And I guess I can appreciate all of those perspectives, you know? I think I'm somewhere just in the middle of, it's harmless fun, you know? Would have been nice to see him do other stuff, but what are you gonna do? The people had spoken. I mean, that's the thing that was really interesting to me, because you guys have told me about this a number of times, that, you know, Elvis, he goes this way, the movies kind of take a downward turn as he starts doing, like, chasing the money and getting less creatively ambitious or whatever. And, like, it's one thing for you guys to tell me, but then it's another thing entirely to actually see it happening. And so when I was looking at, like, the box office and the budgets for these post-Army movies, just these 4 movies, I mean, it just made it so apparent. Like, GI Blues cost $2 million, and it made $4.3 million at the box office. So they doubled their money. Easy, no problem. Flaming Star cost 1.7 million, and then it only made 2 million. So if you factor in the advertising budget, that's a flop. It kind of made a little bit of money, but not a ton. And then Wild in the Country cost 3 million, and then it only made 2.5 million at the initial box office. I mean, all these movies went on to be profitable later on through rentals and stuff, but these initial theatrical runs, from whatever research I could find, Wild in the Country was a flop of flop proportions. And so that's when they threw the panic switch and they say, bring back Norman Taurog, bring back all the songs, bring back a soundtrack LP, bring back Julia Prowse. Oh, never mind, she wants too much money. We got to keep the budget low because we don't even know if we're going to make the money back. Who knows if maybe something's in the water and just they're not coming to these Elvis movies like they should be if there's not a soundtrack attached to them. So I think a lot of people unfairly just blame Elvis for this, as if it was solely his decision to make, when he is a part of a much larger machine. He's just a part of, Paramount at this point, non-exclusive, but predominantly with Paramount. They're out to make a buck. Hal Wallace used the money from this film, the money that this movie makes, to finance the movie Beckett, which comes out 3 or 4 years later, which wins Academy Awards and stuff. So these movies, they're not trying to be Beckett. They're not trying to be some of the classics on these shelves. They're just trying to be some of the schlock on these shelves. They're just trying to be fun, and they work so that other movies in the system can come out, and those movies only exist as a result of the money that these movies are making. So there's a give and a take. It's called show business. I think I got a greater appreciation for that just looking at the background of it. And while I was watching, I made a reference to James Bond movies. Elvis kind of is like a James Bond, which of course are just kind of getting their start in the 60s. Or a more contemporary example would be Adam Sandler movies, but that doesn't have the prestige name attached to it. That sounds like an insult. But it's just him going to different vistas with his friends, his stable of actors, directors, writers, songwriters, cast members, crew members. They all just kind of pick up, go to some place, spike up the local tourism because all the fans kind of want to come to Rush and see the movie getting made. And the behind the scenes of this movie, you see him decked out with a bunch of leis up to his neck because everybody in Hawaii just loved him and everything. And there are worse things in the world. There are worse things in the world you could be doing with your time than making Blue Hawaii. Follow That Dream is his best movie for me, but Blue Hawaii and Viva Las Vegas are both way overhyped. Yeah, Viva Las Vegas, I think, is the other one that I would have said is a contender for the biggest. The big three, right? In my brain would be Blue Hawaii, Viva Las Vegas, and Jailhouse Rock. Those would be the three biggest. And I've seen two of those, and neither of those two are in my top three. I have a pretty easy top three at the moment. Wild in the Country is a great movie. I was surprised. I was reading the critic reviews for Wild in the Country, and people were kind of shitting on that one, which is a shame. I thought that was pretty solid. I thought it was a solid little melodrama, I really liked the set work. I really liked the characters. I guess the biggest hurdle you kind of have to get over is the idea of Elvis being what's his name? Will Hunting, being this literary genius. That's kind of the biggest hurdle you have to get over, but it's not that hard. And then everything else just kind of falls into place with that movie. The girls wanted to see Elvis in his tiny tight shorts. I would have too. Yes. You see a lot of junk. You see a lot of Elvis's junk in this movie. Yeah. Elvis had zero creative control or otherwise in his movie career. He was at the mercy of his contracts and executives. Right. And that's, there is a lot of vitriol for Tom Parker that I've encountered in over the year or two of doing this, and I see why. But then also, again, yeah, yes, not great. Yes, he is taking advantage of Elvis, but there are worse things that he could have been doing to take advantage of this huge star than just have him star in a couple of crappy B movies. You know what I mean? It's not the worst thing in the world, but it is kind of a shame a little bit. And he loved Hawaii. Right, right. So I mentioned that too. Like with Adam Sandler or the James Bond type thing, you just go to a location, you get to let your back burn on a surfboard for a couple of weeks, months. You know, I think they filmed for 2 months. I think 1 month in Hawaii and then 1 month back at Paramount at the studios. And I don't know. I appreciated it. I appreciated it. For some reason, people didn't want to see Elvis in a drama, which is, to me, that's a real shame. You know, because that's what he started out wanting to do, right? And he liked James Dean. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, so he had a big, a big man crush on James Dean. You know, he wanted to be James Dean, and he wanted these dramatic, gritty roles. He wanted to be in a great American movie. The closest I think he got thus far would be with King Creole, and I think he holds his own in that movie. Like, what's the problem? Why do we not want to see him in dramas? What's wrong with Wild in the Country? I'll have to like watch that one again or something, but I remember enjoying that. I remember coming away thinking that that one was pretty solid.
So he didn't end up with any of them? He just went to college instead, like a loser, to go write books? What a dork.
And they did a smart thing with Flaming Star, which was that they used Elvis's shortcomings as an actor, because he does, especially in these still early ones, he's got a bit of stiffness, and they incorporated that into the character in Flaming Star, because he's like an indigenous person. I don't remember the character's name, but he's like a half indigenous person, and so he like kind of is, and he has like this withdrawn quality. He doesn't really speak a lot. He's a little bit more reserved. And it's just, he just has like a physicality to him and stuff. And like, I thought that worked. I thought that was effective. I think you could steer into more of that while you're working on getting him to be a little more natural in front of the camera. And thus like broadening the horizons. Maybe do a role where we see him as the villain. I have stood by that. I've said that since the very beginning. I think Elvis has a very, the little chubbyish, kind of bullyish face. Like, he could have a certain menace to him. I've seen pictures of him, like the poster and promo pictures for the movie. I think it's Charo, where he has the stubble and stuff, and he looks a little bit gritty. He's got a little bit of a like a hungover, drunken, like a rough and tumble Bogart type thing. Like, they should have explored that. I would have liked to see some of that stuff, but of course that's what we're saying. That didn't happen. He's going the family friendly route, and it's not his fault. It's the fault of the people. They didn't go to the box office. They didn't go see the other movies. It's a shame, but it is what it is. And I guess that's another part too, is that it's the 1960s. It's an extremely tumultuous time politically and socially, and I think that there is value in providing people with vibrant escapism. And if that is what resonated with the most people, then who is he to deny people that? And who am I or other critics, not that I'm a critic, but who are critics to criticize that? You know what I mean? Like, if it worked for that many people, it's because it was needed. It was resonating. It was felt. People chose to do that with their money more than they chose to go to Wild in the Country or Flaming Star. So like, that's show business, baby. I get it. I think I get it. Elvis said he was tied up in contracts and he took it as a job and did it. Right. That's essentially what it comes down to. I mean, I remember when I did my What Happened to Elvis in the 1950s review, or essay, whatever that video would be classified as, and just the schedule of like, okay, he's in the studio, he records an entire soundtrack, and then 2 days later the movie comes out that he filmed 6 months ago, but then he's gonna go and start filming for the next movie that's gonna come out in 2 months, but then the label drops the single for the next album, and then there's this compilation thing he's gonna go, like, it just, like, they work him like a dog, for sure. So again, is it so bad that he wants to spend his time on a surfboard if they're working him that hard? He gets to put out music people like, he gets to put a little money in his pocket, he throws that money out into the stage, into the crowd of people half the time at his shows anyway. So I mean, who cares? It's all just going in a big circle, and everybody is winning. Everybody's happy with it. Well, I guess maybe not Elvis by the end of it. I guess if there had been like an off ramp, instead of just continuing to go in circles. I've also heard everyone who ever did a movie with him say he was always professional on set and always made it fun and easy to work with him. That is also what I have read from any behind the scenes stuff that I have read. Even the people who are like initially skeptical, Walter Matthau had said that he expected him to be like a little chump, but that he came on set and like knew his place and knew his lines, came prepared, came treating it like a job. So can't blame him for that. Elvis was great at facial expressions. Yeah, he has some really funny ones in this movie too. It's also funny because I assume most of you have seen the Our Ewan video, which is I watched every Elvis movie and all I went was insane. And I have seen that video as well. I don't really I only watched it the one time, so I don't remember the broad strokes of it or anything. I have to assume that the spanking that's in this movie was referenced in that video, but I have no recollection of that. But what I do have in my brain is the thumbnail for that video, and it's like all the different little Elvis faces, and it's really funny when I'm watching these movies and I then see it. So I saw one of the faces when in the opening 5 minutes of this movie when he's driving in the car and he's like singing that song about being almost faithful or whatever. He does like a funny facial expression. Which again, I feel like is encouraged by Norman Taurog, because that was something that I noticed happening a lot in GI Blues. Not that it wasn't already happening when he's going, yeah, 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 in Jailhouse Rock, but that was kind of the exception a little more. He was mostly trying to be smoldering in those movies still. He was the bad guy in Jailhouse Rock. Vince Everett was not a nice guy. He's the anti-hero. You're still supposed to be rooting for him. And they kind of give it up by the end, That's the same, that's kind of what I don't like about that movie. I probably have that. Not that I've seen that many yet, but that's in my top 5, not my top 3, because the last leg of that one just kind of, to me, it just kind of falters a little bit. This movie starts out with him punching people in the face and going to jail and smashing guitars, and it ends with him like laid up in a bed like this, and he's got like the cotton over his throat. It's just that one almost that was 2/3 of the way there for me. But the soundtrack on that one, obviously the EP there is great. Those are 5 great tracks. Yeah, he had great comedic timing that was never showcased properly. They do it enough, I think, in these last 2 Norman Taurog ones. Quite a few jokes I still think of fondly from GI Blues, like the air raid joke. He could have been a stellar comedic actor. That's basically what he is. He's a comedic actor. All Elvis ever wanted to do was make people happy, forget their troubles for a while. He said it all the time. All I ever wanted to do was make people happy, lift them up, and spread some joy. Right. So, why not do that with a little bit of Blue Hawaii, a little bit of showing off his junk? I don't know. It's a good time. It's a movie you throw on, even if you have it on in the background while you're doing some dishes or whatever. You hear a couple of little quips, little jokes, tap your foot to some songs while you're making some food. Knew everybody's lines, not just his. Yeah, I did hear. I don't know if he continued to do that, but he at least did that for the first movie. He showed up and he was like, he had everybody's lines memorized. He's like, they're like, Elvis, dude, you don't have to do that. I don't think the issue was how much he worked. I think it was that he wasn't fulfilled. If he felt some pride when looking back, he wouldn't have cared about the time spent. Yeah. Certainly he passed away too young to... I think he would have had a very, very different perspective on it once he had been able to genuinely look at it in the rear view instead of it being so close and still reeling, still being exhausted and all that stuff. If he had been 65, and was reflecting on the movies, he might have had exactly the type of opinion that we're talking about now, where he's like, it was harmless fun. Look how good I looked back then. My body was nice and young and fit and tan and sweaty and glistening and whatever. I'm sure, I feel like he would have at least had that perspective about it, but who's to say? Those last interviews, he could have just been grouchy. Could have just been having a bad couple of months. And then 6 months later, you'd have interviewed him and he'd have been like, nah, what are you kidding me? I love those. They're great. Everybody had a great time. Do you guys prefer GI Blues or Blue Hawaii? I know that Norman Taurog goes on to be like the de facto director for a little bit. I think I remember he does 9 Elvis movies in total. But those are the only 2 I have right now to compare. I would say for my money, Blue Hawaii, everything is just very even keel all the way through. Like GI Blues to me has the lowest low of any of these movies yet, which is the puppet show. I know a lot of you guys don't agree, and that's fine. Blue Hawaii didn't have anything akin to that, but it also didn't really have any super high highs for me. Like, it looks good, everyone is fine, it's moderately funny, the songs are okay. I think, well, I don't know, I'm gonna have to we're gonna have to listen to the soundtrack for me to officially make that call, I guess. I've only watched the movie now twice, so I only heard all the songs twice. This movie just was very even for me, so I don't know. Which one would I take? I have to pick one. I would probably go GI Blues. Well, GI Blues had a more interesting story, but then this was the better looking movie. It's got like the better backdrops, the better vistas, and then I have this nice 4K, so all the colors pop and everything, like I said before. But I think GI Blues, you know, there were, I don't know, because then this one had the Mr. Chapman character, who's a freaking nutcase. I love that guy. He was so funny.
He was, yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Where is the crouching lion?
I don't know, this is tough. I'm gonna have to see what you guys are saying there. I don't think his movie Roustabout gets the credit it deserves. It's one of his best. There's just a lot of different combinations you could go. I wanted to see Elvis in space. I would have liked to see Elvis doing like, you know, some kind of cheesy zero gravity, him in like a puffy suit where he can't really move around. I thought that would have been funny. I know he does race car driving at some point. That's cool. I want to see that. I wanted to see him actually like surf or get on the green screen and do like a little bit of surfing in this one, but he didn't do anything. That was kind of lame. I would have liked to see that. Just more like predicament type stuff would be funny to see. If like there was one where he's like a window cleaner, you know, and he's like up on like the scaffolding on like a really tall skyscraper. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that. Maybe him being like a zoo, like a lion tamer or something. Like a carnival. Maybe like a scuba instructor. Something like that. So 1 vote GI Blues. I like Blue Hawaii better than GI Blues. Both. Blue Hawaii. I'm a kissing cousin to a ripe pineapple. I'm in the can. That song was a hit. That is a hit. I like that song quite a bit. That song's been stuck in my head. That one and the Chordetsy one, the one where they're in the car and they're all singing Midnight Swim, Midnight Drive, something like that. That one is a hit. I like the songs in GI Blues better. I think I do as well, but again, I've sat with those ones a little bit longer. I think there's at least like a higher high on the GI Blues soundtrack. Love the puppet show. Wooden Heart, yeah. GI Blues, better movie. Blue Hawaii, better music. Alright. Ito Eats is far worse than the Wooden Heart puppet show. See, Ito Eat like teeth are... I don't know, that one wasn't, that one is cheesy. That one is definitely, to me, like the parallel to Wooden Heart. They're both definitely like in that same lane of like almost eye-rolling, saccharine sweet type goofy, but I don't know. I guess they pretty much are the same though. You could basically take your pick with either one of them. For me, I think of Wooden Heart as just a little bit over the line for me. Yeah, Floyd the Barber. Yeah, I did. I had seen that on the Andy Griffith show, right? That dude is Mr. Chapman, man. Oh my god. Kid Galahad was good. Is that one where that sounds like one where he'd be doing some like swashbuckling? Does he do swashbuckling in any of these movies? I'd like to see that. Elvis should have played James Bond and done the soundtrack. That would have been cool. That'd have been cool. Specifically, I guess I was referring to the scene for Wooden Heart. The song on itself, okay, like the song Ito Eats by itself, I don't really mind too much. And then the footage, I don't really mind too much. With Wooden Heart, I don't particularly care for the song. I don't mind it, I guess, but I do lean towards kind of not liking the song. And then I also don't really like the footage, the accompanying puppet show. The puppet scene must have broken the hearts of his 50s rock and roll fans at the time. That's exactly how I felt, and that's what I kind of commented on when I did my GI Blues review, was that if I was a rebellious teenage kid who fell in love with the Deke Rivers and the Vince Everett and the rough and tumble rebel rouser, rebel with a cause, whatever, I would have been pretty upset by the heel turn that I saw in the puppet scene. And that's how I felt. I was like, well, that old Elvis is gone now. He's not coming back. They shaved his sideburns. He's family friendly. And then, any chance that there was to wiggle back out of that was then lost with the failures of the two movies and then the success of this one. So, and with Wooden Heart being a massive success, saying it's #1 in the UK, yeah. Have I seen Rebel Without a Cause? No, I haven't. I haven't seen any James Dean movies. It's embarrassing. I think I might have actually bought one, although that would be... Yeah, hold on. Rebel Without a Cause, still in the 4K. And I also have Elvis still in the 4K. Because, of course, we can't watch this yet. So this just sits right on top there until we can get around to watching it. In order, Belinda says, Follow That Dream, King Creole, Flaming Star, Jailhouse Rock, and It Happened at the World's Fair. Right now, I am at, my order is King Creole, Flaming Star, Wild in the Country, Jailhouse Rock, Loving You, and then GI Blues, and then Blue Hawaii, I think. Probably. Do you know Elvis has a cameo in Blade Runner 2049? What, you mean this movie right here? The sequel to this movie right here? Isn't this awesome? I can just do this now. I love Blade Runner 2049, but no, I did not know that he has a cameo in this. He's just on one of the screens in the background or something, or like a hologram. I think Live a Little, Love a Little was really good, and Charo, 2 of his final 3. His last 4 were all departures. Oh, interesting. So you're saying, I guess there was a dip in the middle and then it kind of comes back for the last couple? Got out of contracts for the last 4. Oh, that's interesting. Charo was an Eastwood-style Western. See, that's another thing. I could see him doing that well. He did that well in Flaming Star. That movie was interesting. I've only seen it the once and then maybe the twice to edit it, but I didn't do a review of it, so I don't have it as in-depth. But that one, the character work in that is really strong, but like structurally, it kind of reminded me of Night of the Living Dead, where you're just following this group of like survivors in a house, and there's this like, there's all this like interpersonal conflict, and then there's just these waves and waves of zombies that just come one after the other, and they have to just like fend for themselves basically. And I thought that was an interesting little structure. It was almost like a bottle episode of TV, and there was just a lot of little smart stuff in there. Like I remember he does a scene where he picks up like a little girl, like the local little girl in town, because of course he's not really a bad guy. He's just a guy in town and he's down on his luck or whatever.
Just me, Dottie. I want to play a little game with you, okay?
Sure, Pacer. But did you have to scare me?
He like picks up the girl to hold her hostage, and he's like got his little gun or whatever, and he like is threatening the town. He's like, give me all your money or whatever.
Get your horse and bag and make it fast.
Just don't hurt her.
She's like, let me go. And he's like, hey, don't worry. You know I wouldn't hurt you.
Grown-ups never know how to play, do they?
Well, this is funny playing, Pacer. I don't like it much.
You know what hurt you, Dottie.
That's true.
and like it puts her at ease, you know, and it's just like there's little stuff like that where the characters have a layer of depth. It's not just like the thing that they say is actually exactly 100% how they're feeling, and there's no need to dig in deeper or to read into body language or the scene or anything like that. It's just like, yep, here's the scene where he says, "Hello, you don't look like a school teacher. I'm going to teach you to surf now." You know, Char was bearded Elvis, which he hated. "My soup gets caught in it and it's yucky," is what he said about having a beard. He looked really hot with a beard, though. That's the thing. That's the frustrating thing. Zach, you didn't seem to dig Can't Help Falling in Love in Blue Hawaii. That was a monster hit and iconic for him. No, I did like that one. I like that one. Just a little gentle, so I don't think I was jamming. And that wasn't the first time I had heard it either. Belinda maybe knows where I've heard it before. I don't know off the top of my head, but I think he is really good on that song. And that's the one they did that. He's singing that to the grandma, right? That was a cute scene. It's a nonsensical scene. It has no bearing on the plot. Nothing matters in this movie. It's just an excuse for him to sing a song, right? But and the scene right after that is so dumb. I love it. But in that scene, he's singing Can't Help Falling in Love, and he's like looking at the grandma because it's her 78th birthday, and that's something to celebrate. Am I invited? But he's singing it to her, and then while he's doing that, he like sneaks his arm around the back of the chair to where Miley's hand is, you know, and like by the end of the song, he's singing it to Miley, who's on the other shoulder of the grandma, and like she like by the end of the song has like turned her head and realizes what's going on, you know. I think it was kind of cute. That was nice. That was a nice little scene. And then after that, I find it so hilarious, that very next scene where they go on a picnic, because I guess the grandma was so moved by the song that she packs a picnic for Elvis and Miley, and they drive up to this like scenic view of a mountain. They're probably like on a volcano or something. I read that they did shoot on the side of a volcano at some point, so it was maybe for this. And they drive, park, get out of the car, go over, wring the towel out, set it down, put the basket down, start taking stuff out, and then he's like, you know, I need a job. And he starts talking about this, and like in all of his infinite wisdom, he's like, yeah, you know, no more easy street. I can't just get a job where, you know, I can't just get a job at my parents' place. That wouldn't be very self-sufficient and self-reliant of me. How about I get a job where you work, my girlfriend? That's so much more self-sufficient and self-reliant. This is a brilliant idea. I thought of it all on my own. This is great. And then he just stands up and runs off. And he's like about to leave. And they play it for jokes that he's like gonna leave Miley on the side of the mountain. And, you know, like, so then he runs back over and he grabs all the stuff. And then he gets back in the car and he's about to drive away. And she's like, well, you're gonna forget me. You were just gonna leave her with no food?
What about me?
Oh yeah.
But then also the whole time my true thought was, what about the food? What about grandma's food? You're not going to eat grandma's food? She prepared that for you. For like, she slaved over the stove trying to make you this food, and you're not even going to eat it.
What a preposterous scene. They didn't even eat the fucking food.
All the Hal Wallace movies are an excuse for Elvis to sing randomly. Yeah, that's about right. Elvis has so much more connection to Hawaii. 3 movies there, concert in 61 for the Arizona Memorial, 1973 TV special, plus vacation there several times. Yeah, that documentary that I mentioned earlier about him doing the Pearl Harbor concert was very, very cool. Again, the type of stuff that you guys tell me about it, but then it's very different to like watch the video and see all these people like lined up all around, layering him up with billets and everything like that. And just the love and admiration that he was spreading to people is very, very cool. All right, let me see what other notes I have. We've already been talking about this for an hour, and I didn't even start my notes. Elvis as Chad Gates, Joan Blackman as Miley Duval, which again was going to be Juliet Prowse, but she wanted too much money, which is also strange to me, and I don't really understand why. Like, to me, if you especially are making basically the same movie every time, just kind of reskinned a little bit, where Elvis, you know, meets a girl, falls in love, sings some songs, gains some notoriety, in my mind, you would want to be distracting from the fact that each movie is exactly the same. So you would want to distance from having the same actresses pull up in each film. And this is a thing that they tried to do a couple of times, because they tried to get Nellie from King Creole in in the Juliet Prowse movie. So like, I wonder why that was I guess, does it save you money? I guess. Well, I guess it didn't because Juliet Prowse wasn't for it. But I guess maybe that's exactly what it is. It's just a money saving thing. But to me, unless you were gonna have those characters reprise their roles, then it's kind of silly to have here's another Norman Taurog, Elvis, and Juliet Prowse movie where they're all playing different characters. I don't know. It would just give me like a weird deja vu. I feel like I wouldn't want to steer into that personally. But and we've got Jenny Maxwell as the little teenage sex pot. What does he say?
This oversexed and underage. I spent one night in jail on account of you.
That's when I knew.
Nancy Walters as the teacher, Miss Prentice. She was only like 10 years older than Elvis, which is very strange. Or no. The mom, Angela Lansbury, was only 10 years older than Elvis, which was noticeable. But then the teacher was only like the same age, like pretty much the same age. So that was all kind of weird. All the ages are all over the place, but what are you gonna do? Roland Winters was the dad. He was kind of funny as just like the straight, I don't even know. He did a lot of like old timey, I hate my wife humor, which is kind of dumb and hit or miss for the most part.
And he didn't even give his mama any good night sugar.
Sarah Lee, there are times when I could wring your fool neck.
What?
But beyond those actual like quoted zingers, I did appreciate his presence in a lot of scenes. They'd cut to him as doing a reaction of like a type of face, like the mom at one point was like, "Oh, Elvis, you're gonna have to settle down and marry a gentleman like I did," and it cuts to him with his Mai Tai, and he's just like, "Yeah, okay, whatever."
And you're gonna marry a girl of your own class and be a gentleman like your daddy.
Mom, do we have to discuss this now?
I thought that was kind of fun. And then Howard McNear as Mr. Chapman, who's just a maniac and zany as hell. I was laughing at everything he had to say, and it's very funny watching, because this guy, Howard McNear, was controlling the tempo of the scene, so it was funny watching everybody else try to play off of him, and then also trying not to, like, break character. Like, there's one point where, he gets asked a question, and he goes like this, and he's, like, trying not to laugh, and you see him, like, tee back up and, like, lock it, and he's just like, I would take you to the blah, blah, blah. There's a great view of the whatever, whatever. You know what I mean? That's really fun. He had a lot of highlights there. I noticed that and this makes sense because it's a Paramount movie and, that you raid the same prop chests. He's wearing the exact same army uniform that he had on in GI Blues. It's the exact same one. It's got the 3 little things on there. It's got the spearhead division or whatever, same numbers. So I thought that was kind of funny. It implies that there are 2 people who look just like Elvis in the army, and who could sing just as well. So I kind of like that. I thought that was kind of cute. So we have the title song, Blue Hawaii. That was like a slow ballad. I don't really remember much, but it didn't excite me too much. And then when they're driving, they do the song, the Almost Always Faithful song, which they play it cheeky, man. You get punched in the jaw if you sing that song to your girlfriend, man. I don't care. So then they go to the shack that the guys have been keeping up, which is interesting, I guess. I whatever, doesn't really matter. And then they exposit at each other. They get the characterization over. So Miley's like, yeah, your parents are providing this life for you. And he's like, yeah, but I don't want it. I want to live on my own and figure out all my own stuff. I'm going to figure it out. But also he doesn't have a plan at this point. You'd think that while he was in the army, he would have been coming up with this plan. But instead he's like, I don't know. I'm just going to be a beach bum for a little bit and start figuring it out now. Whatever. Okay, you do that, buddy. And then they go swimming. And then the guys, they pull him into the boat. They have a corgi. The corgi is the smartest dog I've ever seen in my life, and they call him stupid, which made me very upset. Because, first of all, it was adorable. And then second of all, they do a whole shtick thing where Miley's like lost her bikini top in the water somehow, and the dog is smart enough to locate the bikini top, bring it safely to shore, and then go get a substitute shirt. So like he knows what a bikini top is, and he knows what it's for, and he knows to get a substitute t-shirt, and then goes to bring it out to Miley. And yet Ito or whoever is like, that dog is dumb as shit. And meanwhile he picked up the bikini top and was like, look at this cool seaweed.
Dig this crazy seaweed. That's no seaweed. That's a top of mindless bathing suit.
So who's really the dumb one? Nellie was in Love and You and King Creole. Right. She was. Yeah, and they wanted to keep bringing her back. And I'm like, why? Why are you trying to do that? I don't understand. They were trying to create a Bogey and Bacall type vibe. The only one that would have worked with was probably Anne Margaret. Yeah, I guess. I don't know though. I feel like that's a lot. I feel like that's a missed opportunity for somebody like him who's making these movies where he travels to all these different vistas and meets all these beautiful women and stuff like that. You know, I feel like that's part of it for the dudes that are like, I mean, I guess I don't know what the audience is anymore. If it's mostly women that were going to watch these and not dudes, because the dudes would have tapped out at GI Blues with the puppet show. So maybe they just don't care anymore. But I would think for the dudes that go to watch James Bond movies because they want to be James Bond or Indiana Jones, part of the appeal is going to some foreign place and banging the local ladies, you know? That's what every guy dreams of doing, obviously. So that's, you know. The uniform is a replica of his actual military issue army uniform. The patches and medals are exactly the same as his real one. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. And it sold for $12,000 in 2021. Yeah, I have it in the closet right over here. I'll show it to you guys later. Do you see Elvis in a different light now than before? How? Well, it depends on how far back you're talking, but I mean, like I said, basically just coming to the understanding that he's pursuing the harmless fun, the lucrative fun. It's maybe not exactly what he wants 100%, but he's giving it his all at this point, and that's admirable. And like, yeah, I wish he like any of my favorite other artists, you know, like, I wish they didn't go pop. I wish they didn't do a collab album with this person. I wish they didn't say these heinous things on the internet. You know what I mean? Just like there are things that happen with artists that you like. So it's like, yeah, I would have liked him to keep doing maybe this type of music and this type of movie, but he's given it his all at this point, and that's admirable. So in that way, I still see him as being a humble, grounded, hardworking, likable dude. But now I've seen most all of his dick in 4K, like very explicitly. So yeah, so then when the Corgi is there and they're hanging with the dudes and Ito, they do a couple of songs. They do Until We Meet Again, which all I wrote for it is slow, which means nothing. I don't know what that means. And then there's the other song, maybe called No More, which I have written slow love song with moderately powerful vocals. But none of these songs have made an impression on me yet. Such that I can really even recall them. Like, Ito eats like... That's in my head. That'll be in my head now. I know that one. Ito eats like... What's up, Charlie? You want to come make an appearance? I got this chair. This chair is rated for 400 pounds. So Charlie can sit up here. And sometimes he does. I've gotten him to come sit in my lap. You want to come up? Hold on. Let's see if we can do it. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Charlie! It's Charlie in the building! Hey, bud. Oh, that's it. That was it. He didn't want to come all the way up. So he's been staying at the beach, and he's not telling his parents that he's home, which is kind of silly. So then the dad comes into Miley's work, and he's like, hey, I know my son is home, so when you're not, like, banging his brains out, what little is left, would you mind sending him home so he can, like... His mom wants to see him, you know? So then we go to the house, and it's, you know, they're like fancy and hoity-toity, and Angela Lansbury is like this, she's like got this Southern belle thing, and then she's also kind of like prim and proper, but she's also calls tourists like peasants and stuff. Like she's not, I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to think. And the dad is just like always, like I said, he's just always got the Mai Tais and just seems frustrated at most things at all times, and they are comically at odds with each other. And then there's Ping Pong, the kid who works there. I don't like that. I don't really like the ping pong of it all. So let's see. They want to throw a party because Elvis is home, and that's all confusing. I don't know how rich people throw parties, but it's like a joint party between some type of business thing with the pineapple business, but also a party celebrating Elvis coming home, which seems like wildly different clientele. It seems like oil and water, but also like she's trying to hire a band and like get it catered. So I guess if you're throwing a party at that scale, it's the logical thing to do, maybe. And they're trying to lay down the law. Again, I don't even know if any of this matters. Do I even need to talk about the plot like this? They want to lay down the law. They say, hey, if you're going to live here, you're going to come work at the pineapple place. And he says, no, I want to go live in my bungalow with my 4 hot guys. It's like a gay allegory, basically. And he's like, you're not going to, I'm going to live my way. You can't change me, Mom. It's not just a phase. And then she cries and the dad just drinks. And then we have the can't help falling in love scene at the grandma's birthday party. And then we do the picnic scene after that, where he says, I'm going to go get a job at the tourist place, which is Hawaiian Island Tours. And yeah, so he plays the barber Floyd Lawson on the Andy Griffith Show, but here he plays an insane person who cannot keep his mind straight, let alone run a business. Groucho Marx.
These are not only decorative, but they keep my neck warm. Now then, let me see. Where were we?
Elvis is laughing for real right there.
We were somewhere, weren't we?
He's very, very funny. I appreciated his role, and he gives the job he says at first, he's like, well, I'll see about giving you the job. And Elvis is like, when will I know? And he's like, well, when I know, of course. It's like, ha ha ha. But then a scene later, Miley just calls and says, hey, yeah, you got the job. So I don't know why they didn't just say it in the original scene, but it doesn't really matter. So his job is to go bring the Miss Prentice and the teenage girls around with the class of 4, which I don't know what that means. I don't know why it's a class of 4 and not like a class of 30. I don't know why it's a class of 4. And that was kind of a weird thing to me. I was like, why is it not like 2 girls? You only need 2. You need the one who is being a brat and then one who isn't. Like the other 3 girls are all functionally 1 girl. I didn't get that. And why is there a class of 4 girls? Like what? Why was it not just 1? Why was it not maybe just like a mom with 2 daughters or something? Maybe that would have been weird because then, he thought the mom was hitting on her and then also the daughter's hitting on her. But I wouldn't put it past any of these movies, So I don't know. So then they have the party, which is where they do Rockahula. And okay, see, another thing that confused me, right? And again, it doesn't actually matter. This is just a nitpick, me taking the piss. No big deal. But the mom character who will not let Elvis, like, out of her sight, basically, has never met Miley before.
Miley, this is my mother. It's about time you two met.
And somehow she is comfortable with Elvis giving his car away for 2 years to this girl while he's in the army. There is no way that Angela Lansbury would have allowed that. She would have said, you're going to give me those keys when you get on that plane to the army. I thought the impression here was that Elvis and Miley were like, school sweethearts or like, or like long time on again, off again, like Ross and Rachel type lovers or something, but apparently not.
Oh, he's talked about you too. Oh, yes, we've both talked about you.
What?
Yes. Hey, man. Miley's on the wreck.
And I found that a little bit strange, but so then the Rockahula song comes on and it is a wiggling gyration. It's the first song we actually get where Elvis isn't just like sitting in the car or sitting against a boat or just not wiggling his hips. He gives us finally what we came for, which was him to wiggle his dainty little self around. And there's even like the trademark, beat switch slowdown type thing where he literally gets like, I found a GIF that I'm going to include up here in the final video of like cartoon sneaking, because that's what he does with his leg at one point. He does like this like fancy overextended this is me trying to demonstrate that, but I just look like a velociraptor or something. I don't know. But he I've shown it now in the footage, in the video, but he does this really funny slowdown, super sexy thing, and then he's dancing all across the floor, and he uses that as his cue to leave, which it's a hell of a way to make a dramatic exit. But also, again, this isn't even, your party hasn't even started yet, Elvis. Your party starts later. Where are you guys going? This is the adult party. Your party is later, because that's what the mom says. She's like, are you staying for the party later?
Are you going to stay for Chadwick's party, Mr. Val?
I'd like to very much.
But now they've just left. Looking too deep into the plot. Yeah, I know. I know. Let me see what you guys are saying. Do you think Elvis in his movies got the right critique? Does Elvis in his movies deserve the ridicule? No, I don't think, well, I mean, I haven't seen all of them, but what are we up to now? 8? And there's 33. but 2 are documentaries, 31, 8, 16, 24, 32. So I've seen a quarter of them. So I can't really say that much. But also, again, like I said, there are worse things you could be doing than putting out bad movies. I mean, is it really that hard? Especially back in the, like, nowadays, sure, we get really annoyed when, like, what's that guy's name? Chris Pratt, right? When he's coming out with a new movie, it's kind of a meme to be like, oh God, can we get him off the screen? Or like, there was that guy they were trying to make the new It guy for a little bit. He was in the Twisters remake, and he did a movie with Sydney Sweeney. I don't even know the guy's name though, because I don't think he has the leading man power. So there's like actors where you kind of get sick of seeing their face. And nowadays, when you turn on every device and you get these full page ads, it does get kind of annoying. So I could see like a 15 years straight of just like seeing Elvis could get frustrating or annoying, I guess. But back in the day, I mean, how much was it really affecting you? You know, it's like you had your phone. You maybe heard him on the radio every now and then, and you saw him in the newspaper. I don't know. Was it that big a deal to avoid him? There's other movies playing at the thing. He's got one little marquee poster, and then you just look the other way. I don't think that ridicule would necessarily be in order. I don't think it's unfair to critique the movies. Certainly, I have done that, and am doing that right now. I think you just have to be fair with it. You know, you have to understand that no, they're not trying to make Double Indemnity. They're trying to make fun schlock. If you can appreciate it on that level, and then still have fun with it, take the piss out of it a little bit, that's fine. I don't think Elvis himself deserves ridicule for that, but people kind of suck. People like to tear people down. So I don't know. That's just going to be a way that people exist forever and ever. Rockahula Baby is a banger and the pelvis is swinging. Love it, yeah. Elvis hated being called Elvis the Pelvis. I know, but why did he swing that thing around so much then? Like, it's crazy. So then it's the next day, and he meets up with the teenagers for the first time after the Rockahula party, and we, I mean, right away you establish one has like the body language. She's like standing there with like her hand on her hip, kind of grouchy, and like when he gives the lays to all the teacher and each of the girls, each one of them is like, oh my God, thank you so much. And then she's just like, yeah, whatever, or something like that, you know? So you get right off the jump that there's this one who's going to be a stick in the mud type thing.
Shall we start our tour with the pineapple fields?
I hate pineapples.
I bet you do.
Well, then let's go there first and get it over with.
And I don't like kids. I don't like kids in movies. I find them annoying. Most archetypes of children, they're either, you know, cutesy annoying, they're either too precocious and overwritten and annoying and can do anything, and I bypassed the compressor and blah blah blah. Oh, it's Leviosa and blah blah blah. I can't stand a lot of that. So kind of grates on me, but it's supposed to, you know, so I can't really hate on that. I guess it's something, you know, it's someone who's kind of playing at least resistant to Elvis's charms. And so then they sing the song, Let's Go on a Moonlight Swim in the car, which was up to that point another like strong one for me. And I think in that instance, it's supposed to be that she is won over by the singing, because who wouldn't be? Happens in every one of these movies at this point. But she's still kind of keeping it inside and still being incredibly rude and annoying. But I do like that all the other girls kind of make fun of her for it too. Like when she says like, you may call me Miss.
What's your name, little girl?
You may call me Miss Corbett.
Well, Miss
Corbett. Yeah. And then all the other ones are all like, ooh, la-di-da. And like there's a line where later on she's again trying to be unimpressed with Elvis, and she's like, we learned about this stupid shit when I was 3. And then one of the other girls is like, you were never 3. You know, them being kind of catty with each other is pretty funny. So they know what they're doing with that characterization. And they go to the pineapple farm, and one of my actual laugh out loud, like talking about not tearing people down, I did it in the review or in the movie watching session, because one of the girls is like, gee, Elvis, do you think we could get some pineapples? And he's like, Oh, I'm sure that could be arranged. Nice cold pineapples at that shack over there. And she turns and she's like, oh,
Pineapples? What'd you expect? Bananas?
What are you, fucking stupid? Come on now, really though. What do you mean pineapples like that?
are you fucking stupid? Like, I couldn't even, like, stop myself in time. I was like, what do you mean pineapples like that? Like, why? Like, of course, we showed up for pineapples. It didn't make any sense to me. But then, so they give they slice up all the pineapples, and then he goes and he brings them over to the girl, and then she takes one bite and just throws it, like, just tosses the plate in front of these other workers who are, like, working hard on this stuff. These workers who have sharp tools, very sharp tools to cut these pineapples that we've established are pretty rough and will hurt your hands just trying to pick with your hand. Don't fuck with these people. Their hands are tougher than yours, little girl. And she's all like, oh, I'm so cool and so tortured, and I'm my 17 years, 14 years, whatever, 17. I think this is 17, actually. For some reason, I was thinking this whole time she was closer to 14. I guess that's just because that's how she's acting. But I guess they do say that she's 17 in the movie.
Life is a bore, I always say.
Oh, already?
I've had 17 years of it.
Well, that's the fun part. Wait till the next 17.
She's like, oh, my 17 years have just been such a malaise. I'm such a tortured individual. This town is so boring. Everybody's such a drip. I just want to, like, I don't know what the depth is to her character. She's like, I just want to have sex with you, I guess.
What's your idea of action?
What's yours?
You're a very funny girl.
But would I don't even know what that means. Like, are you going to treat me nice after that? Or are you still going to be a bitch? Are you going to want to bang again after the initial banging? Or are you going to set your sights on someone else and be all mean to them? Like, it's just teenagers, man. Teenagers. I don't get it. I'd have had to leave her at the pineapple fields. You know, I'd be driving around and be like, did we forget something? I don't think we did. You know, we lost her in the pineapple fields. Fuck, she was wearing yellow, so I can't find her. Too bad. It's a real shame. We just gotta leave her. I did note that throughout the movie, despite this, they don't play it with any ambiguity that, like, maybe Elvis could be into this. They do just play it very straightforward, like, no, this is wrong, you are a child. There's not even any wink or nod or, like, you're 17, did you say? Call me next year. There's nothing like that. It's like, you are an annoying, bratty, immature child. I want nothing to do with you. You need to take a cold shower. You can't stay here. Like, there's no wiggle room like that. And I do appreciate that, you know. They know what they're doing. They know that they are portraying something that is wrong, and they are portraying it as such.
Why? Afraid you might like it.
I don't rob cradles.
There you go. Zach, you sound like an old man cussing out the teenagers. Yeah, I know. I can't help it. Although I will say there is a little scene that I didn't quite catch the physicality of it because it's unsaid. In the next scene with this girl, with Ellie, that's her name, I think. They all are doing, like, training for how to surfboard, right? How to surf. And everybody is doing this kind of, like, synchronized paddling motion, but then the teacher falls out of sync. And so Elvis comes over and corrects it. And Ellie notices that got the teacher attention. And so then she throws her paddling out of sync in the hopes that Elvis will then come over to her. But he doesn't. And so then she kind of, like, deflates, all slumped. She's like, you know, and I did think that was kind of cute and endearing in that way where, you know, it gets the point across without her having to open her fucking mouth and say something eye-rolling, you know? And then Elvis takes the girls to a hooky luau. A hooky luau, which I didn't know what that was. I had to Google it, and it is indeed a festive gathering of people to fish with a big net. It's a real thing. So I was glad to have learned something from watching this movie. I got a little bit of culture in the same way that GI Blues teaches you a little bit about Germany. You learn a little bit about the Rhine. You know, that's a little bit of the Norman Taurog gift. He says, you come to watch an Elvis movie of mine, and you're gonna come away having learned a little something, you know?
I would like to point out that the summit of the Niederwald rises 985 feet above sea level, 740 feet above the river.
Why does she talk like a tour guide all the time?
Or maybe there's like some tax credit type thing. Like if you go to shoot in these places, they say, yeah, fine, but better make us look good. You know, it could be something like that. I don't know. What was Elvis's superpower in your opinion? I mean, it's got to be the vocals, right? It's got to just be that vocal control. The fact that he could wail, he could scream, he could be operatic later at, you know, at the points that I'm at in his career now. He could be powerful. He could, you know, he had a great, an energy and a vigor to him such that you'd see these concerts where he's performing for hours at a time and pouring sweat, but still giving it his all, you know, as a rock star should, you know. He was a rock star in the sense of the word, and he was always, from everything I've seen, he didn't ever like lash out at the public, you know. He for all of his faults, he seemed to keep much of it behind closed doors, in the same way that like it's kind of a silly comparison, but it's like the first thing I just thought of, that like a Christopher Reeve, like an actor who embodies goodness to kids or something because he played Superman, right? You would hope that that guy in real life is embodying goodness, and if people see him on the street, that they're going to be like, oh my God, like a little kid is going to be like, oh my God, it's Superman, and he's going to be like, why, yes, I am Superman, you know? You kind of want and hope that Elvis kind of has that same thing where he lives up to the stature if like a little kid runs up to him on the street. And from everything that I have seen, it seems that he did do that. And so to me, that is his superpower, is being a Superman. Right, so we're at the Hooky Luau, which, again, cool to learn about. I didn't know that was a real thing, and that would be cool for a tour group, you know? They would come along and they'd be learning all this cool stuff, you know? And this is where Ellie decides to plan a smooch on Elvis, but he is a gentleman, and he only lets her handle his wood. And then they do the song, I don't know what the title was, so I just have some lyrics here. More today than yesterday / less than I will tomorrow. It's another tiny, gentle, lilting little love song where Elvis is just kind of walking around. He's not doing a lot of choreography, which kind of goes into, I guess I'll just say it here. That was one of the bigger takeaways, is that this movie felt a lot looser in that way. There wasn't a lot of intricate sets. There weren't a lot of intricate dances or choreographed numbers or big spectacle moments. Like I said, there's a lot of songs where Elvis is sitting in the car or sitting against the boat, or he's in jail and he's just kind of leaning against the bars. They don't do a lot of pizzazz in this movie, which is something that I feel would have been better. You know, I feel like if you are going to go the route of making a movie with the music as the forefront, you need to lock in and have really good songs, and you need to make the performances of those really, really memorable, like Jailhouse Rock. That the way that song is performed on that crazy set, I mean, granted, big, expensive set probably, but very cool, unique, iconic set.
Whoa! That's cool.
You kind of have to have something like that, like the end of GI Blues, where they're in the big in front of the big American flag with all the troops and everything.
That is kind of a cool set.
Again, that's a hell of a thing to coordinate, costs money. But that's your movie. That's your movie. Don't just have Elvis sitting there doing nothing when it's Elvis the Pelvis and we want to see him wiggling his hips. You know?
Yeah. All right. Man, the soundtrack is fire.
We do get more. It's just that there have been a lot at this point in the movie where he's just sitting or standing and not doing a whole ton. And then they pull in the fish and they eat, and then they fat shame the homie, and that's when they do the song "Eat to Eat," like "Eat throw out the style," da, 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 da. And then that goes into "Slice and Sand," which is just like your kind of classic jamming, you know, classic rocking, upbeat type, you know, almost 50s type feeling track. I like that one. I don't like the idea of actually kicking a shitload of sand into my face, especially all over the food. Like, they're kicking it all over the place. The guy's trying to eat, and, whatever, though. So he goes to the table and he tells his parents that he got a job, and his parents are kind of upset. Well, his mom's upset because she's always upset about something. Dad's like, I don't give a shit. And also, the boss, comes out of the back room. I guess he's been staying with them. And I thought for a minute when I was watching this, I was like, what's going on between the mom and the boss here? Is there are they doing something on the side here? What's this relationship between these two?
Lame.
Because why is he staying here? They make all this point. Oh my God, Hawaii is the tourist capital of the world. We have so many amazing amenities and hotels. We have an empty shack that our son stays at and bangs Hawaiian dudes in. We could definitely put you up there if you want to, boss. You could bang some of the Hawaiian dudes. You could bang my son. But instead he's staying at the house with them. I don't understand that, but whatever. It's more just putting the right people in the scene that need to be there for the plot to happen. So, he is there and he asks Elvis, he's like, hey, Elvis, where you been meeting all these Hawaiian dudes that you've been banging in the shack? I want to meet one for myself. And he's like, you should come to the luau that we're going to tonight, which is also crazy that it just seems like there's nonstop action in Hawaii. The nightlife just must be super crazy at all times, which is very likely the case. But I thought that maybe once in a while people would just chill out and watch Storage Wars or I don't know. But every night is a luau or a hooky luau or whatever. So then we cut to the luau, and this was a little strange also because, again, doesn't really matter, not a big deal. But we cut to the luau and Elvis is just on stage performing paid entertainment or something. It's King Creole or one of these other movies where that's just part of it. And he's got the little tiny ukulele. And again, he just kind of stands there. He doesn't get to do any jiggling or gyrating, which is a shame. It's the Hawaiian Sunset or Sweetheart Hawaii song. That one's not bad. That one's okay. But Ellie's not a fan of it. That's when she says the thing about we learned this dumb shit when I was 3 years old. And oh God, this whole thing gets crazy too. So what is it? What even happens? The teacher gets with the boss. That ends up being a nice little tie up for that to happen, I guess. But then there's this weird guy who wants to hook up with Ellie, but he introduces himself by saying, well, hi there, Toots.
I'm Tucker Garvey. This is my wife, Enid. Say hello, Enid.
Hello.
We're from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
And we're gonna bang you now, right? Let's go out or whatever. And she immediately affects this what she thinks is a seductive and sexy French accent because that's what a child thinks is sexy to do. And which again, is underscoring the actual immaturity at play there, so it's not bad, and also is just comedic at face value to an extent, but also creepy.
Well, what you know? I sure do like a pretty little French girl. Say some more of that talk for me, Fifi.
She's like, ooh, big boy, I am Fifi. I am from France, and I don't understand it because it makes it seem like the guy is trying to swing with his wife and this teenage girl, and it's just a double layer of debauchery out of nowhere. And of course, all right, we're going to go off on a tangent here, I think. It's gross in that scene, and they portray it as gross, and like I said, I give the movie props for doing this thus far, and the friend, sticks a fork in the guy's hand and says, oh, I thought it was a pig's knuckle.
I thought it was a pig's knuckle.
Better take it easy, Frenchie.
There is a thin layer of characterization going on here. Yes, there's also has to be a fight scene every movie, yes. Ellie is egging on this creepy weirdo pig knuckle man because she is trying to make Elvis jealous, right? And Elvis is just trying to protect Ellie from doing something that she's going to regret, which is sleeping with Pig Knuckle Man and his wife. Because anybody would regret that. I think even the wife regrets sleeping with Pig Knuckle Man. And so she sees Elvis kind of getting uncomfortable with all of this and everything, and she reads it as, ooh, Elvis must actually like me all along, but really that's not the case. And so I kind of appreciate that. And when I was watching the movie a second time, in taking all my notes and everything, I started to kind of think about what could have been the core of this movie, and like maybe was a kernel idea that then just gets lost in movie making as it happens when you gotta add 14 songs, more than any of these other movies they've done yet. You know, you had to add a lot. Like, how do you make a movie with 14 songs? You don't. You don't. The movie suffers as a result. Unless you're really, really good at doing that type of thing. Unless you're, who's the Hamilton guy? Lin-Manuel Miranda. Unless you're him. I'm just going to kind of read what I have in my notes here because it was probably phrased a little better. I think if the story had more overtly gone in the direction where Ellie kept getting herself into shenanigans while trying to impress Elvis, I would have welcomed it. It would have been a good way to introduce some kind of tension or stakes to this movie if it was like escalating tension where she kept trying to do something crazy. And I think it would have also been a good through line of an arc for both of these characters, because Elvis doesn't want to grow up and become a responsible adult, and Ellie, by contrast, actually has to realize that she is not so much of an adult after all. And I think you could have done exactly that by having something where Elvis has to come and rescue her. That establishes he can take care of somebody, he can take care of his own stuff, and it would help her to learn, oh shit, I really should not be out here with Pig Knuckle Man because I could get into some trouble and I actually need help sometimes, and maybe I need to stop being so callous to everybody around me because then they're not going to want to help me in these times when I'm going to need help. I think there are elements of that at play. I feel like that's maybe an idea that was initially there or was the kernel idea, but then it got lost. It wasn't what they ended up pursuing very much, and certainly the way that they resolve it, you know, I would not have ended it that way.
I got a feeling this is going to make both of us an awful lot better.
Yeah, so I would have liked it if they had gone some kind of maybe slightly thoughtful way with that, where the characters got to a place of mutual understanding from a actual tense situation. Instead, there's a big brawl. Everybody fights. He doesn't even know who he's fighting anymore. Belinda pointed out to me, if you ever see the ginger guy in this scene and other scenes in these movies, that's Elvis's friend and songwriting extraordinaire, Red. And there's some good punches in this bar scene. They've gotten pretty good at these, and there's a couple that Red looks like he takes a couple right to the nose. So that was kind of good. The movie is all about Elvis wanting to grow up and be responsible on his own terms, be a self-made man, once again paralleling his own life. I mean, sort of. But he starts out, he doesn't want a job at first. Like when the scene after the dad comes to see Miley and says, "Hey, stop banging my son and send him home to me, please. Everybody's like, Mom wants to see him." He goes to see her and he's on the surfboard. And she's saying something about, like, you need to get a job and you need to figure out what you're going to do. And he's like, the GI Bill says that I get my old job back. This is my old job, sitting right here.
You can't spend the rest of your life on a surfboard.
Oh, yes, I can. The GI Bill of Rights says I get my old job back. This is my old job.
Like I said.
And, like, there's another part, the first scene when they first get out of the car together after the Almost Faithful song, where she says something explicitly like, "Oh,
I don't know how long I can wait for you to grow up."
Oh, you're a pretty fresh kid. I think I'll let you have one.
I think he just doesn't want to be told what to do by his parents. I don't think he actually wants to grow up or accept any responsibility. He just doesn't want his parents to tell him shit. You know? He doesn't want to work the family business. He doesn't want anything just handed to him. But he doesn't go for anything either. I don't know. So then we get the jail song, which was maybe my favorite, or in like my top 3, I would say. It's been stuck in my head a little bit, and there's not any real choreography to the scene or anything. Sometimes he likes to howl in his sleep. I don't know if that picked up. You alright, bud? Woke yourself up. Beach Blues, is that the name of it? Yeah. Yeah, that's a great song. That one's great. That was maybe my favorite song,
I
actually.
know
That
how
was
you
cool.
feel about
I've
it.
posted your bail, Chad.
And there's a funny scene where the guy in the opposite cell is like playing along or something, and he's like got all these tears in his eyes, and he's like, "Oh, that was beautiful. I hope you guys get life just like me, so we can play together always." You know, something like that. I thought that was kind of funny. So then, you know, Mr. Independent wants to make it on his own, gets bailed out of jail by his dad, and then gets fired from the job that he got at his girlfriend's company, which again is Mr. Chapman is pretty funny in this scene.
Who is this character anyway?
Really?
My boss, Dad.
You're fired, young man.
Aw.
Mr. Chapman, he was only protecting your clients. You can't fire him.
Oh, yes, I can. I'll do it again, too. Just watch me. You're fired.
Mr. Chapman, why don't you...
He's very manic. He's like very Robin Williams, very like Jim Carrey type energy. And in this scene, I mean, there's like so much shtick. He's chewing the scenery so much that it's pretty hard to keep up.
Yeah, that's good. No, it isn't. It's bad. Never. No, gee, that's very bad for business. You can't. I'll sue the newspapers. That's what I'll. That's good, isn't it?
But it doesn't really matter. Like I've said a million times now. And Miley quits working for him. And then to top it all off, because we're at the end of Act 2 at this point now, so to make our characters at their lowest point, Elvis's parents lay down the gauntlet, and they're like, if you're going to live under my house, you're going to live by my rules. And he says, nope, not doing that. So he walks out, and
Oh, Daddy, what did we do wrong?
Offhand, I'd say we got married.
What? That's not funny, man.
And it's funny because we get to this point now where again we're at our character's lowest, and normally, you know, the tone reflects that your characters are sad, they're licking their wounds, so to speak. Things are at their low point before they hit the eureka beat and they come back into a call to action. But it cuts to them like on the beach, like sun tanning and hanging out in the water, and it's like, boy, this is the life, isn't it? So they do begin to discuss the job prospects and start talking, but Elvis's dick is really prominent in this scene. He's kind of just man spreading, and it's just all out there. I have a 4K, and I don't know what anybody's really talking about in this scene. My notes they just kind of just trail off at some point, I think, because I was focused otherwise. I think this is the scene where Miley tells Elvis that Miss Prentice wants to keep the tour going or something. And so again, he just gets up and leaves her there. And so Act 3 is kind of like we're at this new spot. They fly over to the Cocoa Palms Hotel, and that's kind of our new location for the rest of the film where everything's going to play out. And they ride horseback, and they do the song Hawaii, Island of Love.
Island of love.
This is just a commercial for Hawaii.
It's fine. Again, just a nice little chill thing, nothing crazy. And again, there's no choreography because it's just the song playing over the footage of them on the horseback. So, I don't know. And then we pretty much sprint to the finish at this point afterwards. Now that we're set up in our third act, Cocoa Palms Hotel place, this is where Ellie decides she's going to make her move after that very sexy horseback trip and the singing together and everything. She, in a way that again underscores her immaturity, she has to borrow the negligee and the perfume of her little roommates, and then she goes sneaking over to Elvis's room, and you know,
So excited.
they do their whole thing. And again, Elvis is not interested. He lays it down. He says, "You're oversexed. You're underage. You gotta leave."
I think you're pretty forward and pretty stupid.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
you rather hold me than old Abigail?
I'd like to hold you over a barbecue pit.
But then Miley calls and she says, "Surprise, I'm here at the airport. I'm down in the lobby, so I'm going to come upstairs now, right?" And he said, "Oh no, that would be terrible. I'll come and meet you." And then he's about to kick out Ellie, and then the other girls come knocking on the door.
What is this, game night at Cocoa Palms?
-1 though. I don't know. I guess the other girl is like a really deep sleeper. Or, I mean, probably she wasn't available to shoot the scene, but I do find it funny thinking that like all these people are shouting and fighting, and one girl is just knocked the fuck out. She took some NyQuil. She's sleeping the night through, just like Charlie over here. Not a care in the world, while everybody else is fighting and beefing and all this stuff. So all these people come knocking on the door and everything, and then Miss Prentice comes to the door at one point.
I thought you were
I
gonna
was so restless.
date the other guy.
I went out walking in the moonlight.
again, purely for the sake of the plot. I mean, she smooches Elvis. She comes to this guy's room in the middle of the night and smooches him on the lips for the first time that she has. All the while, she came here with the intention of saying that she fell in love with somebody else.
It's happened.
What's happened?
I found romance.
Which is like you're sitting there and you're like, why the fuck did she just kiss him? But also, why would he care? Why would he care? He's your tour guide. Why would you, as a person who's going to just like stay at a vacation place, why are you going to your tour guide's room in the middle of the night to tell him that you got laid? What? That's what you do on vacation. They expect that's what's happening. They don't need to know that. I did not understand it. But of course, it doesn't matter. It's just a way to have the characters all in the same room saying what they need to say for the plot to happen. So it serves the script function that her presence scares off the girls. They run out through the back.
This is ridiculous.
And then the girls, you know, they cross paths with Miley. She kind of knows where Elvis is staying and sees what's going on with Elvis and Miss Prentice and gets the wrong idea. And then what happens? Oh, right. And then, so it's about to, you know, someone's going to confront somebody about this, but then this is the moment that Ellie takes a car and just drives off.
I can't even... There was no predicting the plot would go here because there was no plot.
And she's gonna go kill herself by just wading into the water in the roommate's negligee, by the way, which dick move if you ask me. The roommate literally says, hey, give me back, or no, what is it called?
I don't care what she's doing, but not in my peignoir. Don't you dare.
A peignoir. Peignoir. She says, you stole my peignoir. And then she wades into the water. She's gonna drown herself in the peignoir. That thing is very sheer. That probably would ruin it, you know? It's not very nice. Not very nice. So, yeah, so then we get the scene that, I mean, I don't even know. So Elvis goes driving after her, and it's shot day for night, and everything's all blue, and it's a high-speed chase, and pulls her out of the water, and she's like, no, you should have let me drown. If I can't have you, nothing's worth living for. And if I, you know, nobody cares about me, blah, blah, blah.
Whether I live or die.
Yep.
Nobody seems to care because you don't seem to care about yourself.
And Elvis's solution to this is to take her over his knee and to spank her a bunch. And I don't know. Like, I saw it happening, and I think in the reaction I'm just like slack-jawed and dumbfounded. I don't know what I was supposed to react like. I don't know if I was supposed to be like, oh my god, or if I was supposed to be like, yeah, like what the fuck was the audience supposed to think when this scene was happening? Was it supposed to be comedic? Were we supposed to be like, oh my god? Like, I was just baffled. I was just completely baffled.
These hotcakes are good. They're delicious. Only pass the guava.
That was our resolution of the film.
Thank you.
It's not even the fact that it's like a weird like sexual component. I mean, it is, but it's also just, it's like a silver bullet antidote solution type thing. I just don't even know how to phrase it. It's just so stupid. It's just dumb. It's not even that I think it's like creepy. It is creepy, but it's less that it's creepy and more that it's dumb. That's my thing about it. I'm like, that does not solve her problems as being a bratty teenager. The next scene, she's just like, oh ho ho, it's breakfast, give me some marmalade for my biscuit, num num num, everything's great. And I'm just like, what?
Ellie, I hope you didn't catch a head cold last night.
No, ma'am. Just the opposite.
Elvis made my ass sore.
You haven't touched your breakfast. Aren't you hungry?
I'm like, really? That's the solution? That's the way that we're like concluding this? You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's sexual. I'm saying the opposite. Even if it was sexual, like my problem with it is the opposite. If it's a disciplinary thing, if it's the shoving the nose in the pee or whatever, I'm just like, it's so abrupt and curt and ineffective, and they just paint it as if it's just like she just got like a cure-all, like a tumor removed or something. Like she's just like a lobotomy, but if a lobotomy actually worked, you know what I mean? I don't know. I said, despite the past 95 minutes giving me very little reason to, I had more faith in this movie coming through with a decent conclusion. And then what we got, it may as well have been my ass getting spanked. Which maybe is a little harsh, but I think Zach wanted Elvis to spank him. That is neither here nor there. Anyway, so we'll move on, though, from that. I did think that was a bit of an anti-climax ending, you know? Not for the creepy reasons, but just because it just felt kind of dumb. They also resolved the pineapple business thing in like a scene that I don't even know what was being said, to be honest. The pineapple man, he's so happy with Miss Prentice that he says, hey, you know, he helped me out with my troubles. Let me see if I can help him out with his troubles. And he calls up the dad, and then they all sit down, and Elvis says, hey, I'm going to start my own tourist business, and it's going to be great. Have your people come to Hawaii. I'll give them a tour. Give me a cut of the money. I'm going into business with Miley. Miley, will you marry me? Yes, of course you will. Although I will say, they usually do these dumbass proposals at the last minute. They wrap them up, and they're too abrupt and weird. But that's how these movies go and stuff like that.
Well, this isn't the time, and it's certainly not the place.
Well, of course I'll marry you. I love you.
What? But this one, they kind of did it kind of clean. I liked how they did it, because he says, like, because he had asked before in a kind of joking way at the beach at the beginning of the third act.
How would you like to be married?
Are you asking?
Not till I know what the answer's going to be.
And then later in the film, at this point, he says, now this is a proposal.
Well, I suppose I could be romantic about it, but you'd say yes anyway.
You're pretty sure of yourself.
Isn't it about time?
Okay, that's a bar, though. And I was like, okay. So yeah, so they all go into business together, and that sets the plot, and everybody's happy. And then that's the end. Or no, then they do the little wedding, which was cool. They were all dressed up, and it's a nice, vibrant set, and they get on this little, like, dock thing. I don't know if this is a traditional ceremonial thing in Hawaii. It seemed, I don't know, it could be authentic. It seemed really cool. And, like, you get pushed across, like, a little lake, you know? And it's like you're just married type thing with the tin cans on the back of the car or whatever. I don't know if people do that. You have to look at the spanking scene through the lens of the 60s. What do you mean? What does this mean? Is what I'm saying not making sense, or am I not understanding what you guys are saying? Because to me, it doesn't have to do with it being spanking. It could have been any number of disciplinary actions. It could have been knuckles. It could have been ruler to the knuckles. You know, it could have been writing, I will not smooch adults 1,000 times on the chalkboard. You know, it just felt like an anticlimax, like a swing and a miss for a joke, or like a, I don't know. I just don't know what I was supposed to get out of that. It didn't hit for me, but I don't know. And so they sing the I Will Love You Longer Than Forever Hawaiian wedding song, which is nice. Obviously, they're not going to do any crazy dancing there. And then they smooch to the credits, as one does in a feel-good movie such as this. Butts are funny is the joke. Butts are funny. Yeah, that's true. That girl got to talk about being spanked by Elvis for the rest of her life. Another thing, too, he was actually spanking the shit out of her. Like, it wasn't just like little love taps. Like, he was going at it. How many takes do you think they did? Do you think, like, was she in pain by the third time? Was she into, like, how long? Like, I feel like that's a thing. We're like, all right, Elvis, we got to get this done in one take. We're going to have, well, it's the 60s. There's no fucking child protection laws, but we're going to have DCF or CPS or whatever the initials are these days. We're going to have them breathing down our neck here in about 5 minutes. So we're going to get this done in one take. So my big takeaways from the movie, and then we'll listen to the soundtrack. Like, if I'm watching these movies and I'm still kind of at like a point where I'm like this, and I'm like, because we're going in this direction that I'm not so sure about. That was a stunt butt. I think they had like some padding there. If I was watching this movie and I, was a little bit like, I did rank this one technically as my least favorite, even, or tied-ish with GI Blues for last place. I'm not a huge fan of the direction that the Norman Taurog Elvis films seem to be going in, but I would still not be fully, like, hands off. I would still think that there is room to improve. And, like, while still, if they want to keep going this way, like, if I'm abandoning any hope that we're getting back to a King Creole, regardless of whether or not we actually are because of people are saying, Follow That Dream is next and this and that. But just, if I'm just watching these with no knowledge, I'm like, okay, if we're never going to go back to the other type of thing, here's what we could maybe do and still have a good movie. Songs need to be better. Whether, my opinion on that is stupid because obviously people love this record and it was #1 for 20 weeks and stuff like that. But for me, songs need to be a little bit better. The choreography needs to be there and then stronger. And there needs to be more spectacle and pizzazz. Me personally, the fact that they have 14 great songs does not imbue me with as much hope as 10 amazing songs on another album or movie. You know what I mean? Like, I would want quality over quantity. If they are insisting on needing as many for an LP, I mean, they could even bullshit it. They bullshitted it for Lovin' You, where they did, they only did 6, it was like a 12-track LP, but it was 6 from the movie and then 6 studio recordings. So they could just do that if they really wanted to, but if they really want to do full LP, exclusive from the movie, 10 tracks to 12 max, because King Creole was like 10, I don't remember exactly because there's Danny, but that was technically a bonus track and isn't in the movie. So I don't know, 10 or 11 or something like that. That to me, and even that had Farewell Royal High School, the alma mater song that it didn't need. 8, 9, 10 songs, cap it at that, build up at least 1 or 2 of them as the big single, the big spectacle set piece. And that's it. I don't even need, I would like a better plot, stronger characters. I don't really need that. If the movie looks good and I'm laughing throughout, which I was with Blue Hawaii, that's fine enough for me. I'm good with that. But to sell it all the way as a musical for me, you gotta hit those musical parts. And I just feel like this one, honestly, for me, just kind of missed. It's just like a little bit effortless, without effort in that way. They didn't have the big spectacle one. They didn't have the big standout go-to song. It's just like some nice moderate ones, 14 moderate ones that they squeezed in as regularly and basically like seamlessly as they could. But the path has been chosen as it is anyway. The people spoke. Like we said, they came out in droves for this one. They came out in droves for GI Blues. Not so much for Wild in the Country, not so much for Flaming Star. The people, the bean counters are looking at the numbers and they're saying, okay, we got to do a soundtrack next time. We got to put him on the cover with the ukulele. Is that? No, that's a little guitar. How small is it when does it cross into a ukulele? Does the ukulele have 4 strings or 6 strings? Oh, that's got 4. So I guess the ukulele only has 4 strings? Okay. Look what I'm learning. We still have Follow That Dream to look forward to. Yeah, exactly. That'll be fun. Best case scenario, Onwards and Upwards. Worst case scenario, I would hope for Onwards and laterally, just Onwards. But I understand that some people think that it's going to go onwards and downwards. We'll see, though. In any case, the movie reaction is on Patreon, thanks to those who watched. I hope to be doing movie reactions more often now that I am set up in here. And what was the logic between Elvis wanting to be like James Dean than doing stuff like this? Well, he was trying, and then he got drafted, and he matured a little, and he saw the world, and James Dean died, and Elvis said, maybe if James Dean had lived longer, maybe he would have made moves like this. If he started touching paper like I'm touching paper, maybe he would have made some of these decisions. Somebody said, funny that he wanted, I assume this is a disparaging remark here, funny that he wanted to be an actor, but the only thing that saved some of this is some Blue Hawaii, I guess, is being one of the greatest singers ever. I don't think he's not an actor. I mean, he made 31 movies. Just because you're not like A-list status, Tom Cruise, Leo DiCaprio, doesn't mean you're not an actor. Like, he's making movies that were very profitable. A couple not quite so profitable, but He's making movies that are profitable. He's got people employed. You know, when he goes to these places, there's staff and crew members, there's cast members that are all working. They're all employed based on this production that he is the star of. I mean, I think it's pretty disingenuous to say he's not an actor. I think what you're trying to say is that he wanted to be an acclaimed actor, which, guess what? Every guy who's done a commercial for hemorrhoids or is like has their face on the side of a bus or a bench that you sit on waiting for the bus, they all wanted to be acclaimed actors too. Like, it doesn't happen for everybody. He went down a path that was more lucrative and less artistic, maybe, sure, but someone's got to do it. He went commercial. I mean, whatever, you know. I don't really think that makes him not an actor, but that's just me. I don't think, given his age and experience, that anyone else could have done any better than Elvis in King Creole. I think he does very well. I mean, you know, there's a lot of talented actors out there. Maybe somebody could have done better than Elvis, but I'm glad it was Elvis because it got me to watch the movie, and I like the movie quite a bit. That is still far and away my favorite, and is an example I would go to for any of you motherfuckers that are saying, Elvis isn't an actor because he had his dick out in this Hawaiian movie. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, this is a fun schlock B movie. Maybe you guys don't know what fun is. You guys have never seen a lazy Sunday afternoon movie on TNT with your dad, you know what I'm talking about? While you kind of nod off with the sun hitting you. That's what these movies are made for. See you guys. Have a good one.